No, you're not.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. But I'm interested in feminism. I've done a lot of research. Are you actually a feminist?
I am a feminist. Proud.
Proud.
Card-carrying witch feminist.
No, I'm happy to find you here because I always...
Hold on.
Thank you. I always like to have conversations with feminists. Tell me what you mean by what you consider feminism in your mind.
Feminism is equal rights to men and women.
And when you say it's equal rights for men and women, you're talking about social, political, and economic.
Yes.
And
Intersectional feminism, which means everybody, not just white people.
yeah, of course. So you're more on that. There's a woman in the 1960s. She wrote. Her name is Bell Hooks. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
You need, if you're into intersectional feminism, you need to research Bell Hooks. Okay, because she is one of the leading.
Yeah.
She's actually, I think she's still alive, but she has written many works on this topic. Because, as you know, feminism in the beginning, in first wave times, was
very
racist.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Very
You might not pick up. You
Yeah.
might not pick up her voice and come on.
And it was
right.
really only about, equal pay, which doesn't say a lot about women who have 3 jobs or can't find a job, or brown, black, different people. And it was geared towards white, middle-class women.
Yeah, not only that, but in first wave feminism, you have people like Emily Stanton and Rebecca Latimer, who I think she was the first senator in this country to become a woman senator. And she openly in her works, I've read in primary source materials, that she was calling for the lynching of black people at the time. And the reason why is her argument for women's universal suffrage at that time was that we should not allow black people to get the vote before us, white women.
Yeah.
Now, one of the...
We're still struggling with nonsense like that right now.
Right, you see. Now, one of the issues I have with feminism is this, and I think this carries on until this day, and I'll tell you what I mean by this, right? The feministic narrative seems to suggest that there has been a systematic oppression of women by men.
Sure.
Do you accept that, yeah?
Sure.
So almost every work that I've read, in terms of feminist literature, has this narrative, this meta-narrative, if you like, yeah? Presupposed almost, yeah? Now, there are issues with that, layers of problems.
Right, because it doesn't account for women doing the same thing to other women.
Perfect, yes. It doesn't account for women doing the same thing to other women, but more severely, it doesn't account for women doing the same thing to other men. Now, I'll tell you what I mean by that. Okay. Now, you in the beginning of this conversation, we talked about the problem with just defining feminism through the lenses of the white woman, right? You accept that slavery happened in this country, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and it was racial type slavery to black people.
Absolutely.
Now, if I were to ask you, in this country, who was lower down on the socio-economic ladder? Was it women or black people at that time?
Black people.
Black men, right?
Black men, black women, black children.
No problem.
Yeah.
So, could we say that black men were being oppressed by white women?
Absolutely.
There you have it. So already the meta-narrative of white women being oppressed systematically throughout history
Sure.
by men.
Well, we're not even accounting for, transgender women,
And that's another issue. I want to put
issue.
I want to asterisk that. I want to put that to the side. Do you remember you said this? Because
Okay.
there's an interesting conversation we can have on transgenders, yeah?
Oh, it's a huge thing.
It is a huge thing. And there's a difference between feminism, difference of opinion, yeah, on this matter.
Absolutely.
Right, and I would love to hear your perspective on
I
it.
was on a transgender TV reality show about my stepmother, and she used to be my stepfather. Now she's my stepmother, so I am definitely pro-transgender
Okay, perfect.
community.
Now that's where we have a discussion. It's really interesting. Because here's the thing, right? Let me tell you what position I'm coming from, okay? Now, as a Muslim, obviously, I do believe in equality because the Prophet Muhammad, who is the final prophet according to us as Muslims, he said in a...
I'm right here. Yeah.
He said in a narration, النساء شقائق الرجال, meaning that men are equal to women, or women are equal to men even, yeah? But this equality is a general equality and not an absolute equality.
Okay.
So there's a difference here between general equality and absolute equality. And absolute equality I'm defining as equality in all times, in all places, with no exceptions.
Okay.
Which is, if you there's a book, very popular book now, written by Ngozi. She's a black feminist. You know what I'm talking about? She done that speech in TED Talk or whatever. Yeah, and she wrote the Feminist Manifesto and other books.
Yep.
And in it, she actually writes. She says, it's a popular book. It's not really an academic book, yeah. But she says in her book that she says that there should be an absolute equality. The problem with absolute equality.
I'm right here.
The problem with absolute equality.
I know, I got you.
Is that it doesn't account for the differences between men and women, and it doesn't account for the differences between men and women, and society's need to accommodate for those differences. I'll give you an example, right? In the country that I live in, the UK, women have maternity leave.
Right.
In this country.
We're fighting to have men have paternity leave here as well.
Okay, no problem. Men have paternity leave in England, yeah?
We don't.
Okay, men have 2 weeks, women have 1 year.
Yeah.
Now, that's commonly seen in society as acceptable, and the reason why is because women are different to men. And what they have to go through is different to what men have to go through. Would you accept this? So, a woman, okay, look, what I'm saying to you is this, yeah?
Yeah, we gotta go soon. But we're carrying that baby, man. We deserve it.
Is there any statements you want to tell our viewers?
I just, we're trying our best over here. We're trying our best in this country, and we're figuring out the best that we can for intersectional feminists, including black, brown, Muslim, atheist. And we're doing the best we can.
Here's my message to you.
Yeah.
Meta-narratives like feminist ones should be challenged, yeah? Because
absolutely everything should be challenged.
Like today, this is what we found. We found, number one, that the meta-narrative that men have always been oppressed by women, women have always been oppressed by men, is false, even looking at the American context, because of the black experience and the slave experience. We found that, number two, the idea of an absolute equality is not really feasible or tenable or otherwise implementable in societies, because we automatically recognize that biological difference should be at some stages accounted for, like for example pregnancy, yeah?
I think you're preaching to the choir.
Thank you.
But I thank you for your thank you. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Is there anything else? I'm here in New York.
Give us some things about maybe sisters who are on this feminist thing. Is there anything you want to
Look, man, feminism shouldn't be understood. There's a difference. I've made a whole lecture on this, yeah? There's a difference between feminism and women's rights. Women's rights is a broad term used to give women rights, yeah? And we as Muslims, we completely believe in women's rights. There's no doubt about that. No, it's actually, you could say, an aberration of Islamic teaching not to believe in women's rights. But feminism is a political ideology, a political philosophy, which models women's rights in a certain specified way.
Oh, sorry. I thought I recognized you from somewhere else. Sorry. You're that guy from, nice to meet you. Oh, there you go. How's everything going?
Right.
Mashallah.
And it has some presuppositions, some meta-narratives, many of which, as we've seen today, can't be substantiated. So I would say before subscribing to feminism, one should look at all those meta-narratives and assess them accordingly, because not all of them are true. And finally, I'll say that if you're a Muslim and you believe that God is all wise, all knowing, all these things, then you need to look no further than the scripts of Islam, the Quran and the Sunnah. If you're not completely convinced by them, then you need to go back to square one and ask yourself why you're not. And that's it. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Simple.